What's going on? Born for Sports. The New York Mets, they've returned home with a good road trip, 7-3 road trip. They are in this playoff race. And I want to talk about that today. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. So these New York Mets, man, we talked about last week how I felt like they had to have a good road trip. I felt like they had to have a positive stretch in those crucial two series against the Arizona Diamondbacks and also the San Diego Padres. Well, it started off pretty good, up and down. They went 2-2 against San Diego. Felt like they should have beaten. There was a game that Diaz blew, and in the ninth inning or whatever, extra innings, they could have won that game. There was also another game that they blew that we'll get to in Arizona. Those two blown games by the bullpen have been a big deal for this team this year, and it's really held this team back from being in command in the wild card spot. But if it wasn't for those two games, the Mets would have went 9-1 on this trip. I thought they played very well as a team. Things like that are going to happen. Those two teams, they're in the wild card race as well. And I just felt like even though they didn't go 9-1, they showed like they're ready for this playoff race down the stretch here in September. All right. Right now, they are one game back of the Braves after that trip. The starting pitching has been pretty good. The hitting has been timely. And speaking of the hitting, how about Mr. Francisco Lindor? I'm telling you right now, I'm starting to feel like this man should be the MVP for real. And I know what Ohtani's doing out there. I get it. I do. But Ohtani is a DH. Francisco Lindor plays every day, both sides on the field and at the plate. And this man is on a 30-game on-base streak. And during that stretch, he's hitting 320. Just how many big hits does this man have? Another home run yesterday as the Mets took care of business and swept a bad team, something that I mentioned last week that we cannot get tripped up against bad teams. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to beat those teams, especially this time of year that you're supposed to beat. And he made sure of it. Crockett, that guy's a really good, talented pitcher. We could not hit him, but a big home run by Francisco Lindor, as he has done it most of the season, just getting big hit after big hit. And you know what? It's a game that we needed, and they got it done. Let me read these stats for you for Mr. Francisco Lindor. Okay. First of all, during this stretch on his on-base streak of 30 games, he's hitting 320, his slashing 320 average, 365, 570, 365 on base, 570 slugging, 41 hits, 9 doubles, a triple, 7 homers, 17 RBIs with 23 runs scored, all out of the leadoff spot. The leadoff spot. This man deserves MVP heavy consideration. And I'm telling you right now, I'm starting to feel like he needs to get this MVP, because if the Mets make the playoffs, it's going to be because of the turnaround Francisco Lindor and how he has led this team. He has really led this team all the way. And, it's just been a tremendous story. And it's always finally, I always said, this man needs to get his respect, even from his own fan base, and he's finally getting it. As his numbers, we take a look at his numbers overall in the season, he's hitting 269 now with 29 home runs, 80 RBIs, 25 stolen bases with an 831 OPS. This man deserves to be MVP. If you're not going to give it to Ohtani, this would be the year to give it to someone else, and it is Lindor, okay? All right, and I'm not taking away from the greatness of Ohtani. We all know what he is and who he has been in baseball, but he's not pitching this year, and he's been a DH. He's hardly even touched the outfield out there. Okay, this man's playing Gold Glove shortstop, as we all know, and he is carrying his team. This man better get some consideration. And foolishly, they left him off the All-Star team the last couple of years, and that's showing to be an exposed situation there. Just brutal job, but that's a story for another day. Francisco Lindor leading the charge. Pete Alonso starting to get a couple of hits here and there. I still need to see more. He's not getting the clutch hits that I like. He's hitting his home runs every now and then, but we need a big month of September from Pete. This is the time. You want to get paid. You want to be known as the guy or whatever. Do it now. This is the time. This is the time. Also, I want to touch on Sean Manaea. This man has been pitching like an ace. And he has really stepped up in this second half of the season, man. Really stepped up. Let me read another great outing yesterday. First of all, just it seems like now you're starting to count on him every day. As last week I said, if we can just get the starting pitching maintained the way it's been the last few months, Manaea, Severino, Peterson, hopefully get Sanger back, and the other guys can kind of follow suit. Quintana stinks. We all know it's a struggle just to get him 5 minutes, but all the other guys have been pitching well. But let me read you guys Sean Manaea's pitching line here. He's an 11-5 record. Okay, first of all, 11-5 record, 3.35 ERA, and 150.2 thirds of innings. He's got 154 strikeouts, 1.12 WHIP. Okay, the walks we know, especially early in the season, have been a problem. But this man has been pitching like ace stuff. What a find by David Stearns in the offseason signing this guy. He has really played very well for this rotation, and he has really given them a shot in the arm. So, man, I tell you, if we can continue getting that, we're going to be in good shape. The Mets are only one game out of the last wild card spot against the Braves. And on top of that, okay, they are now all of a sudden, don't look now, but they're only 3 games, as there is a two-way tie for the top 2 wild card spots with Arizona and San Diego. They're only 3 games behind those teams. And guess what? They have the tiebreaker. Yes, they have the tiebreaker against both those teams. I'm not saying that they are going to catch those other 2 teams because it's going to take a lot. And it's also going to take those teams to kind of falter. But it's not out the question starting here in September 2nd. It's not out the question that if certain things can happen, it's doable. So the Mets are playing well. Keep up the good work, guys. I'm loving it. Listen, I said it before the season. I didn't expect this team to really be serious contenders. I expected them to kind of hang around and maybe steal a wild card spot at the end of the season because I wasn't a fan of the starting pitching. But the starting pitching has been pitching above expectations, in my opinion. And on top of that, Lindor is leading an MVP charge, carrying this team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Born for Sports. Let's go Mets. I am out.